It's the energy used in a common kitchen appliance that makes it possible to pop popcorn or reheat leftovers in just a matter of moments. Microwaves.
See this right now? We're at the Grange Hall exit on 75, and this is over the sky right now. What the hell is this? They were flickering lights, and there's a bunch of people pulled over on 75. What the fuck?
What is up, ladies and gentlemen? This is James for with the Impossible channel. Welcome back. Hope you're having a wonderful day. Subscribers are asking me, James, what is happening in Russia? Let's take a look at the video, folks. We have footage of what's supposedly happening in Russia now. Mosquitoes are attacking and they're all over. This has never happened like this before. This might not be the last time this happens. This might actually be the start of something bigger. And I'm gonna go into that. But before I go into that, I want to explain that finally this year, I believe this month, the governments are coming out and admitting that maybe in 2016, what happened to those very important people on that very important occasion where they were zapped, they heard a sound, messed up the relations between the US and another country. Well, now they're coming out and finally saying that this was probably the result of microwave zapping and that this might actually become something common and it's very dangerous.
Diplomats have baffled investigators for more than 2 years now. They started in Cuba in 2016 at our embassy and then hit again earlier this year at our consulate in southern China. In most cases, the victims reported subtle and unusual sensations of sound and pressure.
Gotten into bed and I heard what sounded like to me a large clap of thunder.
I noticed out the window like what seemed like a flash of light, and then like the entire laundry room just kind of like shook.
And tonight in Gatesville, where after a day-long investigation, authorities are unable to determine what caused a loud boom.
Chris, reports started flooding in just after 9:30 this morning.
But it was a big boom.
Almost 2 months after the deadly Coriel Memorial Hospital explosion, Gatesville residents say today they felt another huge boom in the area.
Now, if they're coming out and admitting that microwaves are happening, that governments are zapping us with microwaves and the results, viral outbreaks, you know, it's the sort of thing that is happening right now. They're coming out and saying that this might actually be happening, and not only that, who knows if they're coming out and admitting that these very important people on that very important occasion were zapped by microwaves. Well, what else isn't happening that they're not saying? Now, in Russia, again, this is a change for the world as we know it. This might actually be a sign. Now, how are these things connected, right? Think about it, folks. Skynet. We're all afraid of the governments building a Skynet up there. But as I told you, Wi-Fi, microwaves, what Barry Trower has been saying all along.
Joined the Royal Navy in 1960. And I specialized in microwave, teach you all about microwaves and other uses. Because I thought, well, how can microwaves going into your brain make you make a mistake? Because microwaves then were used as weapons, as they are today.
They're finally admitting that what gave these guys brain damage was probably a very well elaborate microwave attack. Then what is stopping us from microwaving ourselves? Now, because of course we're gonna think someone is gonna do it, but what about Skynet, right? Oh, Skynet is being built. It's, you know, they're building Skynet in the sky, right? No, not in space. We are building Skynet. We already did it. We all have Wi-Fi's in our homes.
Wi-Fi, I think anyone who puts Wi-Fi into a school should be locked up. It is not worth the genetic problems that parents are going to face with their children when they're born. And this is already published. It is available to look up. It's what I call intentional ignorance.
What this guy has to say, this is serious. And now the governments are coming out and saying, look, they might have been microwaved in 2016. And look what happened. Now, if you look at Russia, oh, but James, that has nothing to do with Russia. Are you sure? We have been putting Wi-Fi inside our homes for all this time and blaming others or an invisible force for the change in weather. Of course, it has to do with pollution and industries. But right now, we know very little about the after effects of Wi-Fi and microwave.
They are offered some sort of incentive and they think, oh, this is going to be good, we'll have it. Now, the problem is, imagine you are a 15-year-old schoolgirl. All of the 400,000 eggs in your ovaries were with you at birth. They're not fully developed, but they're with you. They are 10 times more susceptible to radiation than all of the other DNA in the body. Have this highly susceptible genetic material which is going to make your children. And you are irradiating it because Wi-Fi's, they are transmitters as well as the routers, as well as the ones either side of you. They are all transmitting at this height through your ovaries.
And it is very dangerous. As Barry Trower states, it can and will slow kill someone or something. And what is happening right now with WHO, the World Health Organization, coming out and saying, look, we're expecting something we don't know of. It's called Disease X.
Disease X, which we're hearing a lot about. At the end of the list, we wrote Disease X. What was the idea of putting this disease that you said does not exist at the end of our list?
So Disease X is a concept. Let's say it's a placeholder to be sure that if we have a new disease, completely new disease, or a disease we know but not enough and suddenly emerge.
Again, is it coming from space or is it us? Maybe what we're expecting as a Skynet, satellites and all those things, the movie Geostorm kind of depicts something like that. Maybe it's not coming from space. Maybe it's us with Wi-Fi. If Barry Trower, if what this man is saying is true, then we should pay very much more attention. We're talking about viral outbreaks.
And he said, as most doctors do, it's viral, there's nothing I can do for you. And I was leaving, and he said, hang on, Barry, he said, you're a physicist. And I said, yeah. And he said, can you explain something? He said, I went to a house that had a cot death 5 years ago. And the family moved, and a new family moved in. They had a new baby. The cot was in exactly the same place, and there was another cot death. And he said, 5 years apart. And he said, there's a transmitter the other side of the child's bedroom wall. Could the transmitter cause the cot death? And I said, I don't know. I said, but I'll look into it. And then I found that microwaves were involved.
These are the things that we know that it can do. What about the things that we don't? Right? Viral outbreaks, brain damage, messing up with molecules, and whatever. There's a list. And it goes on. And we can easily connect the fires in California, Disease X, and many other incidents with possible microwave.
Well, we're continuing to deal with an epic condition that we really haven't seen, surely in my career, with a wind event that has sustained winds in the ranges of 50 to 60, even we've seen 70 to 80 miles an hour.
Now, who is using this? Why? This is another big question. Leave a comment. What do you think is going on? What has really changed in the last years, decades, is the internet, the web. Where is it coming from? Cables, of course, underwater cables. You thought it was satellites. It's not. Not saying the earth is flat. But After they go to your country by underwater cables, you and me are distributing this internet with Wi-Fi signals. Now, this has changed drastically in the last years. And if we take a look at this, they even have Wi-Fi in our roads. They're putting Wi-Fi signals everywhere.
Welcome to the future.
This has actually changed in the last decades, and it's something that we do not think about. We got sinkholes happening everywhere, we got the temperatures rising, we got earthquakes happening all over, volcanoes setting off, temperatures again rising, and we're like, where is it coming from? We got evidence that it comes from Antarctica sometimes. This bizarre signal that other channels also have noticed comes from Antarctica and into the continents, and it's like a Wi-Fi signal. It does look like a Wi-Fi signal, but a huge one. People are calling this DARPA, HARP, many other names, but it is probably related to this microwave program, and they're supposedly, of course, geoengineering the skies with this. Many people have taped the clouds in this exact format, folks. In this road, the specific road that was sent to us, a video, a highway, I believe, they were installing Wi-Fi in this highway, right? So I told the subscriber, look, videotape it, send it to me, and tell me everything about this region months later. And what happened is, now they have a yellow fever outbreak in this area. Like 3-4 months later, the Wi-Fi was installed. Is this a coincidence, folks? They're finally coming out and admitting that these guys in 2016 were microwaved, and probably microwave attack is responsible for some viral outbreaks. But again, how much is microwave messing with the world that we live today? And we got Russia with the mosquitoes. So of course, the temperatures are going up, the trees are going down, fires are happening all over, plagues. This is what comes to my mind, right? Plagues. And if it is true that microwaves inflict a sound in our brain, that it kind of makes us think differently, it bothers the waves in our brains, it is going to bother the insects, it is going to bother the animals, much more.
North Korea may have overshadowed the first weekend of Olympic action, but the opening ceremony in Pyeongchang also marked the largest deployment of 5G wireless network. Sponsors Intel, Samsung, and Korea Telecom all teaming up to showcase the next generation technology.
So it is possible that this is all connected. Skynet might not actually be up there. Leave a comment. What do you think about all this? Don't forget to subscribe if you haven't. Leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you again.